2024 was a bit of a bumpy road for PlayStation. Things started out well with the surprise success of Helldivers 2, the critically acclaimed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and the slick action duo of Stellar Blade and Black Myth Wukong. But things took a downward turn in the summer thanks to Concord's failure to launch. The doomed hero shooter and subsequent closing of developer Firewalk Studios was certainly a low point for Sony, even if a delightful little robot did his best to brighten the mood in the fantastic Astrobot. Since then, we've seen the arrival of the PS5 Pro, an even more powerful PlayStation 5 console that comes at an eye-wateringly premium price and has been met with a mixed reception. But with time ticking away, there's barely time left in 2024 to dwell on PlayStation's past. So, what does the upcoming year have in store for PlayStation? With almost all of its first-party studios keeping cards close to chests, you may be mistaken for thinking things are looking quiet. But let's delve in deeper to see exactly what games to expect for the PS5 in 2025, as well as make a few hopeful guesses of our own. Firstly, let's look at what's scheduled to come from those all-important PlayStation studios. Sucker Punch's Ghost of Yotai is certainly looking like the headline attraction, and it's coming to PS5 in 2025. The sequel to 2020's open-world samurai adventure Ghost of Tsushima is set to be a stunner as we're introduced to both a new hero and northern Japanese location. Let's hope for some gameplay trailers early next year or in the summer ahead of a winter release. There's also Fair Games, the debut game from Haven Studios. It's a multiplayer heist shooter, and so it will certainly be fascinating to see what lessons PlayStation has learned from the live service disaster of Concord. First revealed in 2023, we're yet to see any gameplay, but hopefully that doesn't mean it won't hit its target of a 2025 release date. And those are the only PlayStation Studio games we currently know are slated for a 2025 release. And with no actual dates locked in yet, we can barely plot out what to expect in each part of the year. But that isn't to say there won't be more big games coming to PS5, and we can certainly theorise at what else we might see from some of Sony's first-party stable. We know that Naughty Dog's next adventure will take us to the stars in Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. We don't expect to be playing this in 2025 though, but we'll happily eat up any more info Neil Druckmann and the team wants to share about it, especially if that includes some of that laser blade gameplay. Marathon has a lot of weight resting on its shoulders, not only because it will be Bungie's first full release since it was acquired by Sony, but alongside Fair Games, it will be PlayStation's first big live service shooter to follow in those quickly fading steps of Concord. The Destiny developers have as strong a shooter pedigree as anyone in the business, so it will certainly be interesting to see the result of its work as it aims to revive its long dormant 90s series as a multiplayer extraction shooter. And could 2025 be the year that Death Stranding 2 On the Beach emerges from its oily cocoon? Hideo Kojima was at the Game Awards but didn't bring a new trailer with him. Unacceptable behaviour if you ask me. Are we any closer to knowing what it's all about? Who's to say, but we certainly want to play it. And the sooner we can, the sooner Kojima can move on to working on Visint, the upcoming stealth action PlayStation exclusive from the Metal Gear master.
Hey brother, do you miss me?
As for third-party exclusives, there's a fair few to look forward to, especially if you're big into swords. Phantom Blade Zero looks set to be a flashy hack-and-slash action RPG from Chinese studio S-Game. A semi-open-world samurai bloodfest with Souls-like elements, it certainly doesn't look to be lacking in style. No release date has been given as yet, but let's hope for next year. Speaking of blades, Where Winds Meet is a PS5 console exclusive RPG set in ancient China. Taking place during the Ten Kingdoms era, you step into the shoes of a warrior who wields influence over warring dynasties, shaping history with the point of your sword, as well as mystical and magical abilities. Originally set for a 2024 release before being delayed to add even more content to its packed mammoth open world, it wouldn't be a shock to see it finally arrive within the next 12 months. But wait, there are even more swords and even bigger blades in Ballad of Antara, a free-to-play co-op action RPG packed with multiple protagonists and intertwining stories coming to the PS5 in 2025. We'll get a better look at it soon, with a beta promised to be on the way. Think we're done with swords? Think again. This next game even has one in the title, Sword of the Sea. You don't use this one to fight with though. Instead, you'll be plonking your feet on it and riding around at speed, Tony Hawk or Metaphor Refantasio style. From Apsu and the Pathless Studio giant Squid, the reveal trailer couldn't help but remind us of Journey, as a mysterious cloaked character hovers swords around vast desert ruins. Another relatively fresh announcement, having only been revealed at September's State of Play, The Midnight Walk is the next game from Lost in Random developer Moonhood Studios. An adventure handcrafted from clay, it's set to be one of the most visually striking games of 2025. Plus, it's even coming out on PSVR 2. At least someone is helping out that long-forgotten little guy. The last PS5 exclusive we're going to highlight is a game we wrote about exactly this time last year in our 2024 look ahead. Hopefully, 2025 will be the year we finally get to clumsily bumble our way through the world of baby steps. A PS5 console exclusive, the team up from the developers behind Getting Over It and Ape Out looks equal parts agonising as it does hilarious. That may be it for exclusives, but there are plenty more multi-platform games coming out in 2025 that are set to make it a bumper year for PlayStation players. Alongside the arrival of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle onto PS5, there's Elden Ring Night Reign, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Monster Hunter Wilds, Mafia: The Old Country, Judas, Borderlands 4, Doom: The Dark Ages, and Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, to name but a few. Oh, and a little game called Grand Theft Auto 6. Could be good, who knows?
Trust?
Trust.
Now for the fun part, the section where we get to cross our fingers and conjure up games that don't exist yet, but maybe will appear before our eyes in 2025. Insomniac has had a relatively quiet year, for a studio that puts out new releases with such regularity, that is. But understandable considering it continues to recover from the data breach suffered at the end of 2023. We know that Wolverine is in the works, but don't yet know exactly when it will be in our hands. And if rumours are to be believed, a Venom game is scheduled to arrive before it. While it may be unlikely that we'll be playing either of these superhero stories within the next 12 months, we might get a clearer picture of what is coming next from the Spidey studio. The same can be said for Santa Monica Studio. What's next for the God of War developer is a mystery, although we do know Cory Barlog, game director of 2018's God of War, moved on to helm a new project in 2021 after leaving Eric Williams to fill Ragnarok's director seat. Could we see what Barlog's game is in 2025?
We'll make our own destiny.
As for other PlayStation studios, can we expect yet more delves into the world of Horizon from Guerrilla Games, with an online multiplayer game reportedly in development at the Amsterdam developers? And it's been a long time since Bend released Days Gone, almost 6 whole years in fact, and the studio has hinted that it's making another open world adventure. Little is known apart from that, but it's safe to say we'd like to learn more. The truth is, we know very little about what is in the pipeline from many of Sony's first-party studios. So don't be surprised if the PS5 is in for another relatively quiet year in 2025. We'd be more than happy to be wrong about that though, and be pleasantly surprised by a flurry of reveals and releases. And finally, could Sony's interest in acquiring the massive Kadokawa company, which alongside a huge anime portfolio also owns From Software, finally result in a Bloodborne remaster or sequel? I know we said these are hopes and dreams, but don't be silly. In terms of hardware, Sony has been very busy over the past couple of years with the PSVR 2, PlayStation Portal and PS5 Pro all released to varying levels of success. As a result, we expect things to be quieter on the hardware front when it comes to 2025. However, it may be the year we finally see the PS5 Pro justify itself further as an expensive upgrade if games like Ghost of Yotai and GTA 6 start to push the base PlayStation 5 to its limit. It will certainly be interesting to see how developers embrace this new tech over the next year or so, and if we start to see genuinely impressive comparisons between the original PS5 and Pro. But while we expect actual hardware releases to be quiet, we've heard whispers that there may be some news to share of fresh PlayStation tech in 2025. Could we see Sony take another stab at the handheld market? Just stick some internal storage into the Portal. I have no qualifications when it comes to hardware engineering, but how hard can it be, lads? In all seriousness though, if recent reports are to be believed, then maybe we could actually see a successor to the PSP and PS Vita in the coming year, or at least an announcement of one. Let's be honest, it's all guesswork, isn't it? Got your own theories and hopes for what we'll see from PlayStation in 2025? Let us know in the comments below, as well as what you're most excited to play. And for everything else, stick with IGN.